In the afternoon, on the playground at 1 p.m. Hey, a blonde-haired boy yells at three kids bullying a green-freckled, who's protecting another kid. What are you three doing? MHA Boruto. A boy with a spiky ponytail urges him not to get involved. Huh? And who the heck are you, Whiskers? One lead boy turns to his direction. Izuku stutters upon glancing the blonde boy. Whiskers. I'm Boruto Uzumaki. He shouts, pointing to himself. Now leave them alone. Haha, try make me. Katsuki challenges with a pop of a tiny explosion in his hand, with his two other friend bullies, one with red wings and one with stretchy fingers. Oh no, Shikadai sighs with a hand on head. You want help, Boruto? No, I can take them on myself. Boruto does two hand signs via fingers and creates a shadow clone next to him. Do you have a brain in there? The two of you against the three of us? How stupid. Katsuki pounds his fist together, making a tiny explosion too, while grinning very cocky. You don't stand a chance here playing the hero. He and his friend bullies charge at Boruto and his clone. Fine, then let's go. Boruto and his clone say at the same time and charge too. Shikadai and Izuku watch Boruto and his clone take on Katsuki and his lackeys for the next 5 minutes of being in a scuffle. During this, the kid Izuku was protecting ran away. 5 minutes later, the kids pant after their little battle while all covered in dirt. Boruto's clone puffs away while the kid with red wings and one with stretchy fingers are looking done for the count. Even against 10 villains, the hero will always win in the end. Boruto pants with a little smirk, rubbing his cheek too. Goor. Katsuki slowly stands up with bruises as well and with an angry face. Don't think it'll be over cause of this. He turns the other way, along with his bully lackeys with one having tears in his eyes, and run off mad. That serves him right, Boruto said, seeing them run off. Amazing. Izuku glances at Boruto in amazement. Man, I thought I had to step in and help. Shikadai said, admitting to being worried there for a second. No worries. Somebody had to give it to them. Boruto grins with hands behind head. Thank you. Izuku timidly thanks, head lowered. It was nothing. Heroes always come to help someone in need. Boruto smiles. I see the one you were protecting ran off. And without saying thanks either. Shikadai looked around for the boy Izuku was protecting. Forget about him. I'm just happy I knocked some sense into those three bullies. Boruto shrugs it off with a positive grin before glancing at Izuku. Anyway, what's your name? Izuku Midoriya. He replies, stuttering a little. And I'm Boruto Uzumaki. He introduces, pointing to him. I'm Shikadai Nara. He introduces as well, smiling a little. Nice to meet you, Izuku. Boruto extends a hand. MHM. It's nice to meet you too, Boruto Shikadai. Izuku extends a hand too, both giving a small handshake. After reseating hands, this means you're our new friend and we can walk you home too. Boruto smiles. Thank you, but I don't have a quirk. Izuku frowns sadly, looking down. You don't have a quirk? Wow. We're sorry to hear that. Shikadai said, feeling sorry for him. Boruto still smiles and replies in reassurance. That doesn't matter. You can still make friends, even if you don't have a quirk. Feeling these assuring words, why is? Izuku nods and grows a smile, accepting his new friend. They walk on their way home after leaving the playground, and Izuku asks them, you guys have a quirk? Yep, we have chakra-type quirks. Boruto replies. Chakra-type quirks? Izuku doesn't know what that type is. It's like normal quirks, where we have the same quirks like our parents, but with chakra types, we can learn other elements like fire, water, and many others. Shikadai explains with a finger up in demonstration. We can also give our chakra quirks its own name. Wow, that's so cool. Izuku winces in amazement. That means you have another power, Boruto. Well, Izuku, I can also use wind, and I'm still practicing on using lightning. Boruto replies. Awesome. What about you, Shikadai? Izuku asks curiously. A shadow quirk is all I got at the moment. Shikadai replies, scratching his head. Oh, so that's what yours is. Izuku gets it now, but still finds it amazing, before also noticing a resemblance. Boruto. Boruto glances. I noticed that you have the same blonde hair as that other man on TV. Izuku compares, curious. Oh yeah, that's my dad. He's one of the Kage heroes and has the strongest chakra quirk. Boruto smiles proudly, referring to Naruto, as they keep walking on the sidewalk. Wow, really? Izuku widens eyes in huge surprise, seeing that was unexpected. Yep. Boruto nods. Surprising, is it? Shikadai asks, knowing it is, which Izuku nods too. In his thoughts, Izuku frowns sadly and wishes he had a quirk just like his two new friends, even if it's a normal one. Also to help him not get bullied anymore by Kakin. Boruto can tell by his expression that he wished he had one and pats Izuku on the back. Cheer up, Izuku. Do you want to become hero? The timid boy nods, and Boruto smiles. Even those who don't have quirks can still become one. Yeah, even becoming a police officer works. They assist heroes in capturing the villains. Shikadai adds and recommends. Oh, I see. Izuku frowns timidly again, wanting to be an actual hero instead of being on the sidelines assisting them. It's really up to you, Izuku. You can still be a hero no matter what you have. Boruto grins and assures him with a thumbs up. Listening to this encouragement that's telling him to keep striving, Izuku smiles/nods before replying, Thanks, Boruto. No problem. Boruto smiles. Also, Izuku trails. The two glance. Are you guys going to become heroes too? Izuku asks, making them blink in surprise. I sure will. Boruto grins with a fist up. It's a drag, but why not? Shikadai shrugs, seeing there's no harm in trying to become one. So awesome. Izuku beams. We'll all be heroes together. Boruto smiles and says positively as they walk home, along with the new kid, Izuku, as a new friend. Now, in the present. Through Mizutofu, Japan, Boruto, followed by Shikadai, are running through the city, jumping on some buildings as they do so. Wait up, Boruto. Shikadai tries catching up, close by. Is it that bad? Yes, it is. There's a villain attack, and we're almost about to miss the action. Boruto replies, Isn't it supposed to be the opposite of a head toward the danger? We're going right to it. Shikadai said, confused at his task, and we still have to make it to class, you know. Don't worry, we'll be perfectly fine. If we watch pro heroes in action other than on TV, then we'll be learning even better at how they perform, appear, and leave the scene. Boruto grins as they still run. How they appear and leave. Shikadai sweat drops. Didn't think it was necessary adding that. They appear seeing a crowd of people gathering around the scene. While standing over the bridge, a large villain throws a large pipe downward. Luckily, a pro hero, Death Arms, catches it with just his physical strength alone, which impresses everyone. Boruto and Shikadai force their way through the crowd and to the front row, seeing in amazement mostly Boruto. Wow, that's the hero, Death Arms. He only relies on physical strength as his main power. He's also known as the punching hero. Another pro hero, Backdraft, sets up a floating water sign in front of the people to keep them walking into the commotion. That hero is Backdraft, who's real good at rescuing, which gave him his reputation as a rescue specialist. Shikadai identifies. Meanwhile, Izuku also comes in closer to thee and spots Boruto and Shikadai from his right. Hey, Boruto, Shikadai. Two turn their heads right and see Izuku coming to them. Oh, hey, Izuku. Boruto waves. Hey, pal. Looks like you got caught up on this and came to see it too. Shikadai figures. Yeah, well, it was hard not to avoid this. I mean, some of our favorite heroes will show up. Izuku said, smiles and blushes a little. You got that right. Boruto completely agrees and turns to Shikadai. See? Even Izuku gets that this action can't be missed. All right, you win. Shikadai shakes his in defeat and sighs. So, who's fighting? Izuku looks out. Just then, another pro hero, Kamui, jumps over the crowd onto the huge villain. The ladies blisses over how cool Kamui is while Boruto and Izuku glance wide in amazement too. That hero is Kamui. Boruto exclaims. The young and talented rising hero. Izuku adds, both too amazed. You asked, but gave great commentary. The man next to them is impressed before asking. Are you kids fanboys? Well, when you out it like that? Izuku shakes his head, trying to hide it and sweating dramatically. Oh, we are 100%. Boruto grins and answers, putting an arm around Izuku and Shikadai. Hey, don't drag me into it. Shikadai sweat drops. Here it comes. Izuku points them to Kamui doing an attack, which they glance back in the action. Kamui uses preemptive, binding lacquered chain prison, and his rude arms were about to strike the large villain until a gigantic pro hero comes in and kicks the villain unconscious, surprising everyone, especially Kamui, as his moment of credit was taken by her. The large hero introduces herself, as this is her debut, and many reporters take pictures of her all around for her size. She is huge. Boruto widens his eyes in complete amazement and surprise. As MT Lady waves in applause, she shrinks back down to normal human sizes. And she's back to normal, Shikadai said. The pro heroes round up the villains and arrest letting the police take them off. This is all like in the comic books. Boruto glances widely with stars in his eyes. These level of performance is what makes them hero. Shikadai glances. Izuku takes notes and mutters to himself while doing it, which the two can hear and sweat drop. Dude, you're muttering again. Shikadai taps him, which Izuku freezes up dramatically. Typical. Boruto shakes his head at surprised. Are you taking notes? That's great if you want to be a hero. The man before finds that great. Izuku glances widely, and Boruto pats his shoulder. Don't worry, pal. You'll be a hero one way or another. He grins, which Izuku smiles at the encouragements he's hearing. All right, let's go so we won't be late for class. Shikadai urges them to hurry up, which they do so, and a couple minutes later, they barely made it. Aldera, Junior High. As class is about to wrap up, the teacher lectures everyone on deciding their futures since they're all third years. He states out and knows they want to be heroes before throwing them printout sheets, which the class yells in joy by showing their quirks, except Izuku, Boruto, Shikadai, and Katsuki. After the teacher reminds them not to use their quirks in the classroom, Katsu remarks, while leaning back in his seat in a cocky way, "Hey, teach. I'm not like the rest of these losers, so don't compare me and them." The rest of the class dramatically get mad at Katsuki's insults, which the latter laughs and taunts. You extras should shut up, cause I'll take you all on. He even brags and declares, I'll definitely surpass All Might, as well as Fire Fox, and become top hero. I'll be among the list top winners. Oh really? You're just all talk the way I see it. Guess that makes you an extra loser too, since I've aced all tests here. Boruto speaks up, taunting him back with a smirk. Katsuki turns to him, now dramatically angry. HUH. The hell you're talking about, Whiskers? I've aced those tests too. Here we go. Shikadai palms and shakes his head, eyes closed at their arguing. With the test result paper, the teacher states out, both have top test results, but Boruto is a little ahead of Katsuki. Hearing this makes Katsuki look like he's about to explode and glares dramatically at the teacher. What? Haha, in your face. Boruto taunts, even give him the raspberry tongue, which ticks off Katsuki even more. Even the rest of the class laughs at Boruto's remarks to Katsuki, seeing that it serves him right, which Katsuki exclaims them to shut up dramatically. The class expected no less from Boruto, since he is Fire Fox's son. Izuku covers his head down in all the dramatic commotion, while Shikadai sighs. Okay, that's enough. Everyone back to your seats. The teacher orders, which they eventually do just that, with Katsuki scoffing at Boruto before doing so as well. The teacher then remembers, if I recall correctly, Katsuki, Boruto, and Shikadai want to go to UA, am I right? Yeah, you bet I do. Boruto raises his fist in confirmation, with Shikadai yawning, but doesn't deny it. The class is shocked. Katsuki leans back and scoffs in reply. Even the rest of the class is surprised he calmed down the cockiness thanks to Boruto. Oh yeah, Midoriya also wanted to go to UA too, right? The teacher remembers again. The class turn to Izuku, who covers his head in embarrassment, and begin laughing at him, which one commenting that he can't get there just by studying, which Izuku stutters and counters by standing up. They removed that rule. You guys need to chill out. there's no rule saying one can't get into anything by studying. You do whatever you have to get into school. Boruto speaks up before leaning up from his seat, which gets the class to seizes their laughter at Izuku, who sigh and glad Boruto said that. The bell then rang, signaling the end of the school day. As Boruto and Shikadai picked up their bags, Katsuki and his friends were over their bully Izuku as usual. Katsuki slams his hand on his desk, exploding it and making Izuku stumble back to the floor. Hey Deku, you're beyond an extra reject since you're quirkless. You have nothing to say, you can even get through the entrance to UA. He picks up Izuku's notebook next, and his friends laugh at the title of Hero Analysis. Having had enough, Boruto comes over and snatches the notebook from Katsuki. You talk too much, but could go. Last I checked, you're not in any position to decide whether someone gets into UA, so take a hike. You're not threatening in the slightest. What? How about you stay out of this? Damn whiskers. I'm simply stating facts about the nerd, whether you like it or not. Katsuki sneers in a menacing tone, which doesn't faze Boruto, and then he looks back at Izuku. And nerd, there's a quick way to being a hero. He states this without any remorse. Believe that you'll be born with a quirk in your next life and take a swan dive off the roof. Hearing this, now that's way too far. Shikadai admits, knowing that wasn't a funny joke. Izuku tenses and shoulders and turns to face his bully with a mad look in his eyes, but Katsuki sneers while letting off small explosion bursts via his right hand. Something to say? In response, Izuku shrunk up with fear and didn't answer. That's what I thought. So, what are going to say in his defense this time with Katsuki brags, but ends up getting punched in the face by Boruto, making him hit back to the floor. Boruto has an angry look on his face from Katsuki's statement, literally telling Izuku to kill himself just because he hates him. How about you go take a dive off the roof instead? Talking all high and mighty is best thing you're good at doing. You're nothing to be honest. Katsuki's friends, Izuku and Shikadai, are shocked at this. Katsuki gets up with a furious look on his face. I've had enough of you, Whiskers. Always butting into our business when it has nothing to do with you. You'll regret that the second I blast you to smithereens. You always say that and you fail. This time isn't any different. Boruto rebukes as he and Katsuki glare each other right in the eyes, both grabbing each other by the front of their school uniforms. Katsuki starts steaming it, and Boruto readies his punch to retaliate. Oh, Shikadai can see where this is going and braces for it, while Izuku tense up nervously. Just then, hey, what's going on in here? The principal walks by and sees the commotion between Katsuki and Boruto, also grabbing their attention. They turn and look at the principal before reseating their hands off the other's collar. Both Boruto and Katsuki couldn't stand each other during their childhood. The latter would get pissed every time Boruto would interfere when he bullied Deku, and they would end up always fighting, neither really winning or losing, but coming to a standstill with slight bruises. Back to now, Katsuki turns around and walks toward the classroom door with his other friends, but not before turning his head and stating to both Boruto and Izuku, "This is far from over, Whiskers, and you nerd, you're not getting into UA." He begins walking out the classroom with his other two friends. Just get your ass out of here. Boruto scoffs, seeing they're now at the room. The principal glances at the trio, and Shikadai replies, "Thanks for that. It was real helpful." "Sure, you're welcome. Just want you students to stay out of trouble." Principal nods and walks off. Izuku sighs while looking down with a low expression after that little commotion. Boruto glances and only says, "Let's get out of here," in which they do as the school day is done. On their way homes as they walk on the sidewalks, say Izuku, "What is it, Shikadai?" he asks, looking to him. "One question I don't get is why don't you fight back against that guy?" Shikadai asks, referring to Katsuki. "Either that or at least tell a teacher to solve the problem." Boruto's only silent and look at Izuku, waiting to hear his respond. "If I tried fighting back, then he'll get what he wants and prove that I'm weaker." Izuku said, replies to Shikadai, "If I tell the teacher, then he'll just make my life even worse, especially if I get him in trouble." "He deserves it, though," Boruto said, seeing it satisfying Katsuki to get in trouble. "Yeah, he's always a big jerk whenever I see him, but I don't hold grudges too well. Izuku admits, sighing a little in the process. I see. That's understandable. Shikadai gets it now. Phew. Boruto sighs too and pats him. Forget about Bakugo for now. I've got your back. As long as I'm around, that guy won't do much bullying. He grins in assuring him. And continue doing what you gotta do to be a hero, quirkless or not. Thanks, Boruto. Izuku smiles, feeling the assurance and encouragement as they continue in the neighborhood. After the trio goes separate on their way homes, Boruto wanders around a bit, while having hands in pockets until he sees a few dudes bullying a kid, wearing a blue suit with white trimmings. They even proceed to kick him in the corner of the sidewalk, where nobody who walk by will see them. However, Boruto saw that and decides to go check it out. In his mind, these bullies don't know when to give it a rest, picking on the weak or those who's quirkless like Izuku. Question is if the kid they're bullying has a quirk or not to defend himself. In the corner, the bullies pushes the boy, Denki, to the ground and take his wallet, with the ringleader stating this isn't enough money. Before they could do more harm, a pebble strikes the ringleader in the head, bending him down. The lackeys and Denki turn and look at the Boruto's arrival, seeing toss a pebble up and down with a smirk on him. Oops, did I do that? Are you crazy? You want to get hurt? Lackey number 3 threatens. Boruto isn't bothered by this and replies, give him his wallet back and I might let you guys off the hook. Lackey number 2 scoffs to that threat. How about doing something about it then? The ringleader challenges. If you insist. Boruto smirks and puts his index and middle finger together, and shadow clones puff out of the smoke and dash toward the bullies. Shadow clones. The ringleader's shocked. Is that his quirk? Lackey number 2 staggers back. Before they know it, they end up in a fight Boruto's clones while the real one snatches the wallet from the ringleader here. He tosses it to Denki. MHA. Denki glances awkwardly. As the clones fight off the bullies, 3 more arrive and witness the clones fight their friends. W, what are you doing? Lackey number 4 proceeds to help out by dashing in. Oh, let's get out of here. Boruto pushes Denki down a direction. W, wait. Denki feels rushed, but goes with it anyway. The bullies begin chasing them down the sidewalk. As soon as Boruto and Denki run in another direction, in which the bullies follow, they see the 2 are gone. W, where did they go? Lackey number 5 exclaims, looking around. Spread out and find them. The ringleader orders, and they do just that. Unbeknownst to them, behind a building, Boruto and Denki manage to lose them, with the former sighing, phew, that was close. Are you all right? No, I'm not all right. Denki lowers his head and his knees. Sadly, they'll just end up coming after me again, and that was just spare change. Hey, do you have quirk? Boruto asks. Yeah, it's a lightning quirk. Denki replies after receding his heart duo from his knees. Being quirkless is one thing. If you had one, then why didn't you fight back? Boruto asks, finding that strange, teach them a lesson. It's not strong enough like yours. Denki mumbles. Boruto's looks in confusion. Do you also have a quirk? Are you attending a school called U.A and plan to be a hero? Denki asks. The answer to all that is yes. Boruto replies, grinning. Same as me then. Denki mumbles before introducing himself. I'm Denki Kamiko. Boruto. Nice to meet you. He extends a hand to Denki and they shake on it. They proceed to walk in for a bit, with Denki telling Boruto he wants to improve on his quirk for the Kamiko Company, who are doing the biggest enterprise in Japan called the Thunder Rail, which Boruto beams in joy over. Once they turn a corner, they notice the crowd ahead. What going on over there? Denki wanders around. Don't know, but I bet you it's any villain attack that the heroes are about to swoop up. Boruto gets exited for more action and heads over. Wait up. Denki follows. When they joined the crowd, there were already plenty of heroes on the scene, facing what looked to be a monster of sludge. Several heroes are on the scene trying to rescue him. Fong over Fong. A spinning attack is launched and rams into the sludge, but it did nothing to it, and the sludge pushes him back. Stubborn bastard. He scoffs after landing from his attack. A few citizens identify as the Hound hero, Dogman, Kiba, in amazement. MHA. A fat man comes in with his fist extended and glowing blue butterfly wings. Butterfly hero. Butterfly man. Chochi. He rams his fist into the sludge, but it ends up stuck. What's this? He's then smacked by the sludge and slides against the brick wall. Jirach. Butterfly man. Death Arms exclaims, with other heroes on the scene too. Kimui evaluates some people with his roots, while Backdraft puts out the fire with his water hoses while asking, "How are things going over there?" He's too sticky, and it's hard landing an effective hit on him. Dogman said, "A strong kid with a quirk is struggling against him." Death Arms adds, "Because that quirk, it's a landmine out there, which makes it harder." Butterfly Man states, standing beside Death Arms and Dogman. They then dodged an attack formed the sludge monster, with Kiba scoffing in frustration. "We need to hurry and get that kid out." In the crowd, "What kind of monster is Dash?" Boruto was about to finish his sentence until he notices that a certain someone is inside the sludge monster, that being Katsuki. "Someone's inside there." Denki gasps. "But could go." Boruto exclaims, shocked that he's in the sludge. He can even see that Katsuki has a scared look on him and is struggling to get out. What's he doing in that sludge monster? I didn't think even he'd get caught up in this type of situation. What's even more shocking is that Izuku jumps out from the crowd and ran toward the sludge, despite shouts of nearby heroes telling him to stay away. "Izuku!" Boruto exclaims. "Is he crazy? He'll get himself killed." Denki exclaims. "That's just playing reckless. What is he thinking?" Boruto doesn't get what he could be planning and is confused at this sudden act. Izuku threw his backpack, with its contents spilling out and hitting the sludge villain, also making him loosen his hold on Katsuki as he gasped and coughed for air. "Kakin!" The quirkless boy screamed, desperately trying to get the explosion quirk user out of the monster's hold as he clawed at his slimy body. "What the hell? Why are you here?" Katsuki exclaims aloud. "I don't know." Izuku answered immediately, still trying to free him. "My legs, they just started moving," he cried out. The slime built back up around Katsuki, though, entrapping him again as he grimaced. Even so, Izuku wasn't going to give up. "Kakin, I couldn't just stand there and watch you die," he exclaimed with tears in his eyes. "Damn." Boruto hesitates a little bit and finally decides he needs to help his friend rescue Katsuki, even if he was a huge jerk. Coup. Boruto runs off from the crowd and finds an open space to assist while the heroes are trying their best to get in too. "Boruto? Where are you, Dash?" Denki was about to ask, but Boruto interrupts. "Getting in there save them." Boruto middle/index combined fingers forms two shadow clones. Here we go. The clones prepare the real Boruto for aim and throws him toward the commotion. "Don't get in my way." The sludge monster was about to attack Izuku until Boruto comes and swoops him out of the way, saving his friend. "Another one!" Death Arms exclaims, surprised at Boruto's arrival, as well as a few other heroes in the crowd. "Boruto!" Izuku exclaims, shocked. "That was a death wish you gave yourself that time, Izuku. Lucky I came just in time." Boruto smiles anyway, and adds while glaring at the sludge, "Let's get him out." "All right," Izuku responded. "You brats." The sludge monster goes for another attack at the kids, which Boruto was ready for. Then out of nowhere, a huge burst of dust impacted, and when it settled, the two middle school students found themselves unharmed. "I really am pathetic," a powerful voice admitted. Izuku and Boruto looked up to find All Might standing over them, having blocked the attack with his right arm. "All Might," the trio uttered out. Even Katsuki looks on in disbelief too. "I told you the traits that make a great champion," he states before grabbing a hold of Bakugo by his arm. "But I see now that I wasn't living up to my own ideals," he exclaimed before breaking free of the slime. They watched the #1 hero of Japan grab hold on the villain's body with his left hand, rearing his right fist back. "Pros are always risking their lives. That's the true test of a hero," he declared proudly as blood sprayed from his mouth. "Damn you, All Might," the sludge exclaims in one final attempt to attack him, but it was over for him. "Detroit." The hero started to bellow, grabbing onto Izuku, Boruto, Katsuki with his left hand, as soon as HH. He roared, unleashing a powerful punch that made the sludge monster splatter apart as wind rushed throughout the air, forming a tornado that towered into the sky. As everyone thought it was over, another sludge villain, being a red one, comes out of the corner and attacks. "Oh, come on, another one!" Dogman exclaims, seeing that it's one thing after another. "What the?" Boruto exclaims at the second sludge monster. "Not again!" Izuku exclaims, shocked. "Ku!" All Might scoffs to himself, seeing he doesn't he's almost at his limit and not enough for another attack. As the second sludge villain roars and is about to attack All Might and the kids, a blonde man, Naruto, with an orange sweatshirt, black pants, and a white cape comes flying in, with a spiraling blue ball forming in his right palm, raising Gan. He dives it into the red sludge villain, blasting him to pieces and ending it for good. With the dust clearing and the clock blowing in the wind, that was a close call. Everyone's safe and accounted for. Everyone is dumbfounded at the number 2 hero, Fire Fox, Naruto, himself appearing. It's the blazing hero, Fire Fox. A man exclaims amazed. He's the number 2 hero and strongest Kage hero. Women exclaims in joy too. "Dad!" Boruto exclaims, surprised to see him, also amazed at the same time. Fire Fox, the number 2 hero, the top Kage hero with the strongest chakra-type quirk. He's also on the same level as All Might. Izuku said, having the information. The crowd cheer in total amazement at both Naruto, Fire Fox, and All Might in the same place. It starts to rain as this happens as well. "How you holding up there, All Might?" Naruto asks. "Haha, never felt better. I blew off a lot of steam on that one, Fire Fox." All Might chuckles, and Naruto does too before they fist bump, which the crowd cheers louder. Whoa! Katsuki is in disbelief, witnessing both All Might's and Fire Fox's strengths. "Amazing!" Boruto and Izuku said at the same time. The most incredible thing is that the 3 middle schoolers were part of this, having witnessed some great. Afterwards, the heroes collected the scattered remains of the sludges and delivered them off to the police. Izuku gets scolded by Death, Arms, and Dogman for going in that dangerous situation recklessly on his own, but Katsuki and even Boruto gets praised for their toughness, mainly cause of their quirks. 3 news reporters also record them for their efforts. "You kids have some amazing quirks," a random hero said, in amazement, even pointing out Katsuki's toughness. "You guys become heroes. You're welcome to my agency. You make also sidekicks." Sure, I guess." Boruto scratches his head, appreciating the compliment, but unsure about his agency offered down the line. Katsuki glanced at Izuku before glancing at Boruto next, which the blonde boy does the same, but they didn't talk to each other. "Boruto." Naruto walks over. "Hey, Dad." He waves. "Heard the details from Kimui, and I must say, going in to save your friend out of that last blow took guts and bravery." Naruto smiles, impressed and proud, plus referring to Izuku. But what that green-haired kid did was even more selfless. He's impressed with Izuku as well. Surprised he didn't use his quirk. He's quirkless," Boruto replies, looking over there at Izuku, who's finished getting scolded by Death, Arms, and Dogman. "Quirkless, huh? I see." Naruto finds that really surprise, and the freckled boy still jumped in there without turning back. "What guts! These reckless acts are reminding me of myself at this age, as well as a certain someone else." He finishes his thoughts before more news reporters show up, for him and All Might. Later on this evening, with Denki already heading home after he and Izuku introduce themselves to each other, the freckled and blonde boys walk on the sidewalk in the neighbor as the sun sets. "Oh man," Boruto sighs with hands behind head. "This has to be one of the craziest days of my life." "Yes, it was," Izuku replies, with a low voice and low expression. Boruto can tell he was mentally exhausted, or something else is on his mind. "What's with the sad look? Is it because of the heroes scolding you for that reckless act?" "Forget them. That took impressive guts." "Thanks, but that's not it," Izuku replies, receiving a question mark from Boruto. "I wanted to apologize to All Might for wasting his time before that incident, but he was still getting interviewed." "Apologize to All Might? You ran into him?" Boruto exclaims, pretty jealous. I did. I'll probably try sending him a message on his website when I get home. Izuku said, Well, what did you guys talk about that makes you want to apologize? I find that strange. Boruto asks, knowing not to spill All Might's secret about his skinny form. Izuku replies, I only asked him if I'm capable of becoming a hero, even without a quirk. Boruto keeps listening. Izuku trembles a little sadly, but he said I couldn't, not without a quirk. Wow, Izuku. I know that was tough to hear. Boruto puts a hand on his shoulder, bad for him. Deku, Whiskers. Katsuki's voices is heard, getting their attention and turning back as they see him running up to them with his fist balled up. Kakin. Deku blinks in surprise. What's the matter, you? Boruto asks, tilting a brow. Panting, Katsuki angrily makes this clear. Know this. I never asked for either of you to help me. I was fine by myself. Hearing this, Boruto frowns and replies, Fine by yourself? It sure didn't look that way to us. You almost got swallowed, so enough of the tough guy act already. Tough guy act? You don't know what you're talking about. Don't think you can look down on me. Katsuki angrily exclaims before saying this to Izuku. Especially you, the quirkless failure. He tupples around and walks away angrily. And don't you guys forget this. Whatever. Boruto scoffs, not bothered and doesn't care for his words. Toughness. Izuku's sweat drops, but admits he's right though. He said, which Boruto glances, It ain't like I accomplished anything. Aren't you being a bit too hard on yourself? Boruto asks. I guess, but now I know I can think of a realistic future. Izuku sadly replies with a small smile as they keep walking. At this moment, I am here, All Might exclaims as she dramatically slides out of the fence's corner, much to the surprise of the boys as they yelped dramatically. Hey, All Might, Izuku stuttered out. Where'd you come from? And how'd you get rid of all those reporters? Even my dad was with you the whole time. Boruto adds to that. Ha 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 ha. The number one hero laughed out. Firefox left way before I did, and getting away from the reports was a piece of cake. He proclaimed proudly before starting to flex his muscles. Why? Because I am all in my dash. He suddenly burst into a cloud of white steam, transforming back into his skinny form as he spat up blood. Way out! Izuku and Boruto exclaims dramatically in shock, especially the blonde boy, as he's never seen All Might in this form like Izuku. All Might notices and lets put a sigh, now having another kid know about his weak form. All Might is skinny. Boruto stutters and points dramatic as All Might let out a sigh, wiping his lips. At this moment, him and Izuku fill Boruto in on why the number one hero looks like what he currently is, the latter also telling him that Naruto already knows about his condition, which surprises Boruto more. After hearing all that, Boruto sighs and replies to All Might. Hearing this is still quite a shocker, you know? But it's fine. Now that I know, your secret's safe with me. Thanks for the understanding. All Might nods before glancing to Izuku, thanking him for doing what he could against the sludge villain, having given him enough time to act. If Izuku wasn't there and hadn't told him about his quirkless life, then he would have been all talk while wearing his N1 bodysuit. As Boruto listens, Izuku still thinks it's his fault for interfering with All Might's work and thinks he had no right to talk, despite being quirkless. However, exactly, All Might states otherwise, because of that quirkless timid you at the scene, that I was able to act. Same goes for you as well, young Uzumaki. Thank you. He reveals in gratitude, which the boys perk up in surprise. There are stories about every top hero from their school days. One thing that most of them have in common, their bodies moved before they had a chance to think. Just like what you did, right? He asked as cherry blossom petals fell down nearby as a breeze blew about the street. Hearing all this, Boruto can tell what he's going to say next. Izuku can tell as well, and begins whimpering with tears as he clutches his school uniform as he lowers his head and drops to his knees. He recalls his mother, Inko, apologizing to him that he didn't have his own quirk. But that wasn't the answer he was looking for. He wanted her to say that he could become one too. You did it, Izuku. Boruto states out, making the freckled boy slowly glance up at his best friend. You never stopped believing in your dream. Everything you did paid off and became a reality. He smiles, really glad for him. Even during their childhood, he always encouraged Izuku to do whatever it took to become one. And the result of that, it was successful. As the wind rushed through the two blonde's hairs, All Might stares down at Izuku and began his words. Young man, you too can become a hero. He finishes. Izuku cries out in joy, having approval from his first idol as Boruto, and All Might smiled as the wind rushed by. You are worthy of my power, All Might said with a hand out. Come again, Boruto asks, confused. Your power? Izuku's confused as well after looking up. All Might laughs and states, What's with that face? It's just a suggestion. The real show starts now. He goes on to explain the power of his quirk. One for all. One that increased physical strength and speed. Stating that his quirk has been passed from generations, and that he's looking for a successor, which he sees in Izuku. Boruto finds this surprisingly amazing. Also surprised that Izuku gets to inherit the number one hero's power to finally get Quirk. Izuku nods in agreement and accepts All Might's offer, who grins at his answer, telling him training starts first thing in the morning. This sure took me by surprise. Naruto walks out the side, which gets their attention. Oh, Dad. Boruto perks in a glance. Sup, Boruto? He greets his son with a wave. You were listening, Naruto? All Might asks, which the latter nods in confirmation. Passing on the power of one for all means that you're officially master and student, starting today. He notes, You're Firefox. Izuku beams in surprise. So you're Izuku Midoriya, right? Boruto told me about you. Naruto greets, smiles, and walks up with a hand reached out. Nice to meet you. The pleasure is mine, sir. Izuku stutters and shakes his hand. Be good to Boruto, will you? Naruto asks. I will. Izuku nods, smiles after they finish the handshake. The heck are saying? I've been good to him. Boruto scoffs and rephrases that. I got it. Naruto laughs and rubs his son's head, much to his annoyance. Don't treat me like a kid in front of them. Boruto pushes his hand back in embarrassment, which causes Izuku and All Might to laugh. After they cool down, Naruto notes this to Izuku. Even without a quirk, you got guts in being the first one to make a move back there. He gives a thumbs up. You totally earned the power that All Might's about to pass to you. Izuku widens, then smiles bright and nods. Right. All Might grins and reveals, prepare yourself, because training starts in the morning. Yes, sir. Izuku nods, serious as Boruto and Naruto look on with a grin as the quirkless teen is now about to gain one of the greatest powers in the world. With the entrance exams beginning in 10 months, All Might begins training Izuku to strengthen his body to become a proper vessel for the one for all quirk by having him remove all dumpster that scatter around the beach. As for Boruto, he's also been doing some training on his own. Every now and then, Naruto would help him, but only for a short while due to having hero duties, which leaves Boruto to practice what he learned and gain further improvements as the days went by. To add to that, he'd even go to Hinata's sister, Hanabi's house to have her help him in his advancement skills of close combat. The whiskered and freckled teens are giving it all they've got in order to prepare for the upcoming challenges that's in store for them in the entrance exam. As it draws near, February 26, 6:30 a.m. During Boruto's morning run on the sidewalk, wearing sweatpants and a white short-sleeved gym shirt, he heads towards the beach to see how Izuku's progress is going and to see if he's prepared for the entrance exams later on. As he runs to the beach, sweating a good bit, he glances up ahead and sees All Might also walking to the same destination. Hey, Boruto calls out him with a hand wave. All Might jumped up a little startled in surprise, but still turns back to the whiskered boy, who stops upon coming up to him. Ah, if it isn't young Uzumaki. He greets. I take it you're headed to see how young Midoriya is doing as well. You bet. Boruto nods with a grin. As the sun rises, and when the two blondes get to the beach, they hear loud yelling of success coming from Izuku. H. He has his fists balled up and stretched back while having sweat all over as he stands on a trash bus, along with the trash pile underneath. They even see that all the heavy trash has been cleared and removed from the whole shore, which totally shocks them both. Are you serious? Boruto exclaims as him, and All Might look around every inch if the beach. He even cleaned outside of where I told him to. All Might exclaims too. Everywhere. And I mean everywhere. There's not a speck of dust or trash laying around. Boruto points out and looks up amazingly at his friend. Izuku really cleared this entire shore. It was at the last minute at that. More than perfectly. Seriously, All Might exclaims before stuttering. Oh my goodness. He suddenly puffs to his bulked-up form. Boruto shrieks dramatically at that sudden transformation. Izuku staggers on the trash pile and begins to fall, but All Might quickly catches him in his arms at the last second. Well done. All Might smiles down at the freckled teen. All Might, I did it. Izuku slowly smiles. After rushing over, great work, Izuku. Boruto says happily. Boruto. Izuku slowly glances down at him. Yeah, you surprised us, you entertainer. All Might sets Izuku down, who staggers a bit. The bulk blonde pulls out his phone and shows them, here, take a look, he said, and the two see Izuku in the picture, crying dramatically with a weak/Skinner body. Boruto snickers at how winny he was in the photo, which Izuku reddens his face in embarrassment. It's you 10 months ago. All Might says to Izuku and compares that to how muscular Izuku is now. Wow, it's really amazing how much you came for back then. Boruto says in surprise/amazement. If I were in your position, Izuku, there was no way I could have done all of that. I mostly would have relied on my shadow clones. He said all dramatically with a shivered look, which Izuku snickers a little at. Firefox's signature move? So you got a chakra quirk as well. All Might figures out, which Boruto nods. He then states to Izuku, the mirage of it is barely visible, but you've now become a suitable vessel. All Might said with arms out. Izuku glances at his right hand and utters, I feel like I've cheated. This got All Might and Boruto with a question mark in confusion. You did all this for me. Izuku utters next. I wouldn't call it cheating. You did all the hard work and earned it in the end. Boruto smiles with reminds, can't forget about that, you know? Young Uzumaki is correct. It was all your own work. All Might agrees. Usual smile. Yes, I've been truly blessed. Izuku nods, tears starting stream down his face. All Might chuckles in thought. These teenagers are amazing. He then puts a hand behind Izuku's back, with his other hand in pocket. Those leaky eyes of yours will have to be fixed. I know, right? Boruto sweat drops, completely agreeing with him on that. All Might takes a strap of hair off his head and says, I was once told that something you receive is because you're lucky and what you're given is because you're recognized. They're different essence. He mostly says this to Izuku. Take that to heart, because this is the power you earn because of your own work. Izuku widens his eyes at that statement and looks at Boruto, who give him a thumbs-up/smile for the efforts. Izuku smiles/nods back before looking back to All Might, who then says this, eat this. He means the strap of hair. Huh. Izuku's so dramatically confused, Boruto as well. Eating a strap of hair? Seriously? Boruto narrows a brow. Well, it doesn't matter as long as he has some of my DNA in him. All Might replies, shaking his head sheepishly. That's different from what I imagined it would be. Izuku shakes his hands up dramatically. No, it's not the time. All Might urges him to eat it. Come on. He urges more dramatically, which Izuku shrieks dramatic as well. Might have to eat it as gross as it sounds because the exam starts later on. Boruto said, he's right. Come. All Might agrees and keeps urging Izuku, who's now forced to eat the strap hair. Opening 1. The Day by Porno Graffiti. Izuku's eyes are shining wide as stars flow around him, glimpsing ahead at All Might, whose back is turned with fists on hips. Izuku extends his hand out to the grinning All Might, who starts turning his head toward the teen. As his cloak flows in the wind, Fox Naruto smiles with his back turned before Boruto jumps out and towards the screen with a grin and punches at it. The students of Class 1A are now shown in their hero costumes. Achiko, Samaire, Tenya, Sarada, Shikadai, Katsuki, Mitsuki, Ajui, Ijiro, Iowabe, Metal, Minoru, Momo, Chocho, Kaminari, Kamiko, Inogen, Kyoka, Hanta, Fumikage, Yuga, Mishiro, Mina, Rikido, Mizo, Koji, Toru, and Shoto. In the night, Izuku looks up at the raining sky before looking down in a low expression and walks on. Next, it shows Boruto running on the sidewalk while it rains, but pauses and looks down before looking back up at the night sky again. With their backs turned, Izuku and Katsuki then have serious looks before turning to each other and clashing fists in their hero costumes. Next shows Tamura Shigaraki menacingly reaching his hand at the screen. Next shows All Might fighting against the Nomu as both of them trade fist blows back to back. Kirojairi, with a flash of his yellow eyes, and Shin Uchiha, with an evil gummed grin, are both shown in a bar, with the latter having evil red eyes. Next, Eraserhead uses his Eraser Eyes quirk and straps to take down some Nomu. Izuku and Boruto dash and jump into the air in their school uniforms before a few Class 1A students also join in through the sky while in their hero costumes. Achiko puts her fingers together, Shikadai puts his hand signs together, Sarada activates her red Tomo eyes, Lita does a swift kick, Misuki extends his long arms out, Minoru cries dramatically, Azui catches Minoru with her frog tongue, Chocho expands her giant hand, Metal does a round kick, Inogen flies on his paint-made bird, Shoto surfs on ice, Iowabe smashes down his earth hammer, Ijiro hardens his whole body, and Katsuki doing a small explosion while raring to go. Izuku and Boruto morph into their hero costumes before charging a forward punch at the same time before showing the rest of the class also do their own small attacks. It ends with All Might, Naruto, Firefox, and the rest of Class 1A in front of the UA school building. UA High School entrance exam, 8:40 a.m. The freckled and whiskered teens are standing in front of UA as all the other beginner students make their way through the entrance as well. Phew, we made it in the nick of time. Boruto sighs in relief. Yeah, I was so worried about missing the exam because I didn't get the chance to test out my new power. Izuku sweats a little in dramatic nerve. I was interested to see that, but this exam, Boruto shrugs off before also bringing up, though it still gives me the cringes how he made you swallow his hair without at least a bottle of water to wash it down. He cringes in a little disgust. Right, and the thing is I don't feel like anything great has happened to me, even after swallowing it. Izuki said, handing over his lips. No surprises there. Boruto's sweat drops, hands in pockets. Stupid Deku and whiskers. They turn to see Katsuki walking up with a grumpy look with his hands in pockets. Kakin, Izuku utters in surprise. Sigh. Great, what do you want now? Boruto narrows his eyes at Katsuki. Just stay out of my, or I'll blast you both. He threatens, passing by them. If you wish. Boruto murmurs in taunt. Ever since the sludge incident, Kakin hasn't tried doing anything to me. Izuku noticed. Now that you mention it, he hasn't tried his usual stunts. That's out of character for him, but good thing he is taking it easy because it'd be annoying on a regular basis. Boruto said, Yeah. Izuku sighs and adds, and I guess I was just scared out of habit. Now that you have a quirk, there's no need to be frightened of him anyway. Boruto assures, All right, I'm not defenseless anymore. Izuku straightens up, medium serious look. That's the spirit. Now let's get a move on. Boruto starts walking, and he nods. Thanks to All Might, I can finally be a hero. Izuku thought, and when he takes a step, he trips over and falls forward, or I could just die. Question mark. When Boruto turns back, he sees his freckled friend floating in the air and a girl with pink cheeks and brown hair, Achiko, standing beside him with her hand out. Are you okay? She asks with the giggles. Izuku yelps in a fail before she helps him stand back up and claps her hands together. I stopped you with my quirk. Sorry I didn't ask first. She smiles, but I figured you wouldn't mind me catching you. She adds, which surprises Izuku at a girl talking to him casually. You almost tripped, didn't you? Boruto asks Izuku with a narrowed brow, not surprised knowing how he is. Izuku stretches his head, looking away embarrassed. Boruto looks to Achiko and says, "Sometimes Izuku here can be clumsy, so thank for catching him." "No problem." She replies with a smile and exhales. "This is all a bit nerve-wracking, isn't it?" She asks. "You can say that again." Boruto agrees. Izuku stutters dramatic. "Well, I guess I'll see you two inside, bye." She waves and moves on ahead to the entrance. "Yeah, see ya." Boruto waves a hand one time before glancing to Izuku, who has a stunned, small, blushing reaction to him. Let me guess. This is your first time talking to a girl, isn't it?" Boruto asks, growing a smirk teasingly. "Yeah. Uh-huh." Izuku starts laughing dramatically, hysterically in front of all those walking toward the entrance, getting attention. Boruto sweat drops and finds this too weird and says with a hand on shoulder, "Okay, stop that. It's creepy. Let's just go inside and get ready for this exam." Before they could go, they hear a girl with purple hair and a long ponytail running hurriedly to the entrance with her book bag on, muttering, "I'm going to be late." She's anxious dramatically. However, when she gets near Boruto and Izuku, she begins to trip off of one foot. Watch out. Boruto quickly grabs her by the right hand, stopping her from falling to the ground. "Honestly, everyone seems to be trippy today." Standing her up straight. "You okay?" Izuku asks. She replies timidly. "Thank you." She glances to Boruto. "No problem, but you seem to be in a rush." He noticed with a narrowed brow. "The entrance exam only starts in 10 minutes. "It does? What a relief." Samire sighs. "I thought I was going to be late for a second." "Yeah, being late sure is the worst, isn't?" Izuku laughs awkwardly. So does Boruto. "By the way, I'm Samire Keikii." She introduces with a smile. "What about you guys?" "I'm Izuku Midoriya." He smiles. "Boruto Uzumaki." He introduces in the same manner. "Nice to meet you, Samire." She nods/smiles and walks off with a wave. "I'll see you guys later." "You too." Izuku waves. "Time we get a move on too," Boruto said, which his best friend agrees as they proceed inside through the entrance. U.A exam orientation. In the auditorium room, the voice hero, Present Mike, explains how the entrance exam works, starting with the practical exam and then the written test. For the recommendation students, he states that their practical is different and that in addition, they have an interview with the principal. "Looks like we're flying solo on this test since they're separating us," Boruto says to Izuku and Kaken. "In other words, we're not allowed to work with any of our friends." Kaken adds to that. "Sitting in between the two? Why yeah, you're both right." Izuku said, taking a peek to that Katsuki's sheet, examining No. 2235 and test location B, while Izuku sees that his is No. 2236 and test location C. "Get your eyes off my card." Kaken sneers, which startled Izuku. "Since I'm in the recommendations category, my practical test might be different from you guys." Boruto guesses. "Yeah, probably once we begin ours, you might get a test sheet to clarify that." Izuku nods. Katsuki then scoffs quietly. "Damn, I was really looking forward to crushing you." He refers to the Uzumaki, including you nerd. He scoffs to Izuku. Yeah. Boruto shrugs off with a hand wave, while Izuku stutters awkwardly. Just then, a student wearing glasses, Lita, stands up with his hand raised and asks, "Excuse me, sir, I have a question." "Hit me." Present Mike points at him, and the light also points at Lita. "On the printout, you listed 4 types of villains, not 3. He points on the sheet. "With all respect, if this is an error on official U.A material, it'll be shameful." He adds, "We are here at UA because we wish to be trained into ideal heroes." He then turns to point up at Izuku in front of everyone before he speaks. "In addition, you with the curly hair." Izuku points to himself in confusion. "You've been muttering to yourself this entire time. Stop that." Lita scolds. "If you can't bother to take this seriously, then leave. You're distracting the rest of us." "I'm sorry." Izuku covers his mouth embarrassingly, which caused the other students to laugh in the room. "All of you need to chill out, especially you." Boruto says out, annoyed look especially at Lita. He's muttering due to being nervous, just like some if not anyone in here, so quite being so skeptical. He adds with his hands relaxed fully behind his head, which surprises Lita to the point he sits back down a few seconds later. Okay, guys. Present Mike calms them down, examining number 7111. Thank you for the message. Thanks for that. Izuku whisper to Boruto on his left. Don't mention it. Some of these guys are just playing the tough guy act, is all. Boruto whispers back. After that, Present Mike finishes the rest of the orientation before finishing with this statement. You ready to go beyond? Plus ultra, he says out in a rock and roll manner. Good luck. Hope you study more than just books. With that out the way, students make their way to their assigned test locations, while the recommendation students stay in the auditorium. After the normal examinees leave the auditorium, the recommended examinees move down to the first row seats and prepare to listen to their recommended orientations. Boruto glances around to see the other recommended students. A boy with red/white hair with a scar on his left side, Shoto Todoroki. A girl with black hair and glasses, Sarada Uchiha. A girl with black hair/ponytail, Momo Yaozu. A boy with dark spiky hair/red makeup, Shinki. A guy who's lipless, Juzo Hananuki. A girl with dark moss green hair, Setsuna Tokage. And a tall guy with buzz/dark brown hair, Inasa Yurashi. And various other recommended students from middle school. They see Present Mike appear in the front stage as he begins to speak. Welcome to the UA Recommendations entrance exam. He does so in a rap-like manner. This exam consists of a written test, practical test, and an interview. He continues, explaining that the written test will be first and that it will be 2 hours long with given breaks throughout the exam. I will tell you about the last 2 parts of the exam later. Any questions, little examinees? With no responses, form the students. No? Okay, now with that done, the examiners will pass out the test after everyone spreads out to their seats. Good luck, everyone! The written test was really that hard for Boruto, since it mainly focused on heroics more so than Japanese, math, English, and history. He turns in his test after an hour, before going to the waiting room for the remainder of the test for the other students to finish. For the next 20 minutes, the blonde teen is bored out of his mind, tapping his feet in the ground with arms crossed. GUH. I wish I brought my game Switch to keep myself entertained. He sighs and tries to relax, but still finds himself a little anxious to move on to the practical. Just then, the door opens, revealing Sarada and Momo to be walking in. We finally got through the written part. Momo said, all that's left is the practical and interview. Affirmative. Sarada agrees, though the interviewing part is a little nervous-wracking. She adds, which Momo agrees to. She glances to her right to find that Boruto is sitting on the bench. Having noticed her too, Boruto? Sarada. He notices in surprise too. You know each other? Momo asks. Yes, our dads are friends. Boruto replies, not all that thrilled. I'm Boruto Uzumaki, by the way. Nice to meet you. He introduces to Momo with a smile. Likewise, I'm Momo Yaozu. She introduces with her arms crossed. Though I didn't expect you to be in the same section as me. Sarada said, not all that thrilled either. Same here. Boruto replies, likewise about her, but good luck anyway. You'll need it for the practical. He grins with a thumbs up. Huh, that's what I should be saying to you. Sarada responds, chuckling a bit. Momo smiles at what she sees to be a friendly rivalry. All in all, I wonder how Izuku is doing about now. Boruto wonders, and Bakugo too, I guess. He isn't too pleased at wondering about him. With Izuku, at the normal practical test, the freckled teen is running around to see if there were any robots that he could beat to gain points, but all he found were ones that's already destroyed. He dramatically shivers. They're already taken down. Is there at least one I can take down? Suddenly, a 2-pointer robot bashes through a wall, setting his sights on Izuku, and proceeds to attack him. Izuku dramatically shivers in fear, and it's too much that he can't move. It's coming, idiot! It's coming! He adds with dramatic tears, why can't I move? He then shuts his eyes as the robot is close to attacking him. Suddenly out of nowhere, a painted colored lion rams into the bot. Its fangs crushes down on it. Izuku blinks in confusion and turns to that the painted beast came from a boy with pale blue eyes and light blonde hair, Inogen. And that adds 2 more to my points, 32. Inogen said, with a closed-eyes smile. Ah, Izuku utters. Oh, and don't get the wrong idea. Inogen says to him, still having his closed-eye smile with a straight face. It wasn't like I was trying to save you or anything. In fact, you might as well give up while you're at it, cause I highly doubt you what it takes to get through this part of the test. He criticizes and adds with his closed-eye smile. After that, he leaves on ahead. Izuku blinks and is unable to say anything, only thinking, first the laser guy, and now him? He even said all that, with just a smile. Izuku sweats dramatically, but gets up immediately upon hearing the 2-minute time limit. As he runs, he sees a 2-pointer going around the corner and decides to set his sights to finally gain points from that one before rushing after it. When he turns to a building corner, he surprisingly sees the 2-point bot already destroyed. Huh? He blinks. Out of the shading shadows, the light-blued hair boy Mitsuki appears out the shadows with a smile on him, along with his glowing yellow eyes. Izuku stammers in surprise at the crushed robot quickly defeated before glancing back up to Mitsuki. The latter replies, "This one immediately came to me when I turned around, so I went ahead and took it out. No hard feelings, right?" Oh, sure. No problem." Izuku replies with nervous sweating since he couldn't get that pointer. "Well, you might want to get a move on since there's only 2 minutes." Mitsuki advises with a smile. "All right, thanks." Izuku quickly leaves to try and go after some points. With Katsuki, the explosion Quirk user was on a roll himself, destroying countless robots he'd come across without thinking about the points they cost. He was really having too much fun breaking these bots, and nothing could ruin his moment, especially his strive for perfect victory. Haha. Next, a grin's wide as he heads for a 3-pointer that Kamiko is attacking. "Out of my way, extra!" He roars and blasts the bot to smithereens. "Whoa!" Kamiko exclaims and glances only to the explosion Quirk user blast ahead. "I was just about to get that too." He sighs. That Bakugo. Shikadai sighs, unsurprised from a distance after defeat his pointer. He'll ram through this thing without giving a damn about the others. Back with Boruto. After everyone turning in their test sheets. Now that the written test is over, the practical test will start after everyone changes into their gym clothes. Present Mike announces, before the recommended students move to their locker rooms for changing. Boruto changes into a red/white tracksuit and sweatpants, before putting on some white sneakers and making his way out to the training grounds. Along the way, the whiskered teen stops in his tracks to turns around to see the running Inesa, waving dramatically, halting to him. "You must be Firefox's kid, am I right?" he asks with enthusiasm. Yeah?" Boruto sweat drops at the sudden question. "Let's be pals. I'm Inesa Yurashi. It's great to meet you." Inesa shakes his hand back and forth in friendship. "Why, yeah, I'm Boruto Uzumaki, and likewise." Even though he doesn't mind being friends, Boruto still weirds out over this introduction. This guy is so loud and obnoxious. Let's give it our best on the practical and pass this thing. Inesa evens a look of extreme confidence. "You bet." Boruto agrees with him nevertheless. It'll take time getting used to him, but he's not wrong about acing this exam. The recommended students were then led to the UA training grounds for the next exam. Rock on. The written part of the exam is over. The practical starts now, and then the interview. Present Mike announces, "For this exam, you will race through a 3-kilometer obstacle course while freely using your quirks." He explains you'll go 6 at a time, get step in when your number called. When Boruto's number, 15, is called up, he went to the lineup for the race, where he saw Shoto, Inesa, Shinki, and Juzo along with one random examinee. "So, I'm against these guys, huh? Okay, I'm ready." The Uzumaki thinks inwardly in determination, as they all got in starting positions. "Ready." The light then turns green. Go. Shoto immediately uses his ice quirk to move. Inesa propels himself using his whirlwind quirk. Shinki uses what looks to be black sand to move, and Boruto encases chakra into his feet for him to run at a fast pace. As the race goes on, he sees that he's in 4th place, and inwardly, "I'm not getting anywhere at this pace. especially with their type of emitter quirks. Boruto decides to stop running at where he's at. In that case, he forms two hand signs to summon two shadow clones, and he uses their wind quirks to prepare to launch the real Boruto by the feet. Here we go. Gale Stream. The clones propel him to forward before dispersing, and Boruto flies at the top 3 with a high amount of speed. With this utility, he flies by Shinki, who widens a little in surprise, and moves to get past Inasa and Shoto next. However, his speed begins to slow down, and he's forced to tuck and roll before running to the finish line. Shoto and Inasa are evenly matched until the latter barely crosses the finish line first. Wowza! Number 41 finishes by a hair. Present Mike reveals with a stopwatch timer. Boruto proceeds to come through the finish line as well, followed by Shinki, then Juzo, and the last examine. Sigh. Boruto huffs/pants after that, dusting the dirt off him while at it. All right, I won. Inasa cheers in high delight with fists raised, before turning to the whiskered teen. Whatever you did back there must have been awesome. You almost got past me. He holds up his right fist for a pound. Thanks. Boruto grins and chuckles, returning the fist bump with his, and congrats to you, Inasa. I'll take being in third place fair and square. Yeah, see you at UA Uzumaki. Inasa waves off and leaves. You too. The blonde waves. When he sees Inasa try and talk to Shoto, the latter coldly refutes him, not even bothering to look at the whirlwind quirk user. I just came here to pass this stupid test, that's all. Shoto notes, I don't care if I beat you or not, so give it a rest. This deeply surprises Inasa at receiving this cold response. You're in the way. Shoto finishes, with eyes that look to be filled with hatred at something. What's that guy's problem? Does he even know what sportsmanship means? Boruto wonders, finding Shoto's respond unnecessary, since Inasa just wanted to befriend him. He even noticed he has a hateful look in his eyes, that's for sure. He thought as he sees Shoto walk off, while Inasa does the same going the other way. But with his head down, poor Inasa, he's even lost his enthusiastic demeanor. Onward, the students change back to their uniforms and sit in a different room. Present Mike announces, you guys are now at the last part of the exam. The interview will be conducted by our very own principal. Once the interview is done, you're free to go. He adds, this will take 5 minutes, and I can already see that most of you are happy to hear that. Good luck. Present Mike calls some students, starting with Shoto, and then Inasa, both ending at the 5-minute marks. Some students were either chattering or trying to calm their nerve, while Boruto sits with his arms crossed and tapping, simply waiting for his turn so he can get it over with. Just one interview, and it's done. You got this, he tells himself. On Izuku's end, after the students in that area witness Izuku destroying the 0-point bot with one full blow, they started having second thoughts about Izuku being lame and weak. Now some of them found him pretty amazing. That guy, murmurs a tall boy with a red cape, Iwabi. He took down that 0-pointer with just one punch. It's obvious he put his full power into that to the point it seems he can't move. What type of quirk is that? He murmurs in surprise. You guys are missing the point. Tenya walks up next to Iwabi, who turns and glances to him. What do you mean we're missing the point? Iwabi asks, narrowing a brow in confusion. Didn't you guys see? He jumped out to save that girl. Tenya replies, eyeing Achiko laying on a destroyed bot. Now that you mention it, it's true. Iwabi said with a finger under his chin, looking at Izuku. He did that despite knowing it's a 0-pointer and knowing that time was almost out. He wanted to pull at least something off before that happened. Right, and his own safety without hesitation no less. Tenya agrees and adds before tightening his fist, shaking a little, if this weren't a real exam, then I would have done the same. He straight faces dramatically. As so would I. Iwabi does it too. They both then realize that there could be more to the exam than just fighting for points, something like rescuing others to gain points as well. Well, looks like I was wrong about him. Inogen blinks, surprised. Merci, he's the backbone of UA. Yuga charms dramatically. An old lady with a cane walks by, giving some gummies to some injured examinees before walking over to Izuku. She observes his injuries and says, oh dear, you were hurt this much by your own quirk? She worries after seeing his broken, wobbly legs, too. It's like his body isn't used to it yet. She smooches her lips before crouching down to smooch Izuku on the head. Kiss. Form that, Izuku's broken parts start to heal with glowing green. Amazing, Iwabi admits. One of them question what she's doing, to which Yuga replies, Yue Hai's licensed school nurse. Also known as the recovery girl, the youthful hero. Inogen as to that. Thanks to her, anyone can go through the entrance exam as reckless as they want. That is if they don't overdo it too much. Let's finish this quickly. Is anyone else injured? Recovery girl asks other examinees. Back to the interview. Boruto, Uzumaki. It's now your turn for the interview. Present Mike calls up. Finally up, he got up from his seat and headed to the room where the interview was held. He noticed some students looking in his direction, but simply ignored them before knocking on the door, which the principal says, come in, which he does. When he goes in, he sees that the principal's short animal appearance, a talking rat. He's the principal? Boruto's is inwardly taken off guard. Good afternoon, Uzumaki. Principal Nizu greets with a smile. Oh, good afternoon to you too, Principal Nizu. The blonde teen bows. Please, have a seat for the interview to start. The mouse advises, which he does. Now, tell me about yourself. I'm a son of the number 1 Kage hero, Firefox. I'm also the oldest in the family to my little sister, Himawari. Boruto starts out, I've acquired these prodigious talents thanks to training with Dad, and sometimes in Hanabi. Excellent statement. Nizu approves. Next question. What are your strengths and weaknesses if you have that part? I'm seen as the laid-back type, but very diligent. I'll be a team player if I have to be, but sometimes I prefer completing things on my own. Boruto continues. I don't tend to get stressed or emotional. To me, keeping one's cool and not overthinking things is the way to make accomplishments. He adds, my weakness? I honestly don't know. That's great, Uzumaki. Most people don't stay calm while they're out on the field and tend to make rash decisions that leads to the opposite outcome. Nizu said, last question. Why did you choose UA? How will you benefit from attending our school? To become one of the greatest heroes and save people when they're in need of help. Boruto responds, in extension to that, I also want to follow my own hero path, different from Dad's. Why is that? Nizu asks, curiously. Well, some people assume that I would become the next Kage hero since I'm Firefox's son, but that's not the case. Boruto replies, being a regular hero that's not a Kage hero is the path I've set upon. He states determinately. I respect that. Nizu smiles. There's nothing like making your own decisions and what you want to do. He adds, that concludes the interview. Do you have any questions? No, sir. Thank you for having me here. Boruto stands up and bows his head. I'll be excused, before leaving out the door and getting his things before heading home. The whiskered and freckled teens went home after parting on the way. While Boruto feels like he passed, Izuku feels he, himself, did good on the written exam, but not on the practical exam, which leaves him in a daze of thought. With Boruto, I'm home. Boruto walks in through the door, taking his shoes off. Hello, big brother. Himawari happily welcomes him. Welcome home. Hinata walks from the kitchen. How well did the exam go, Boruto? It was pretty decent. He replies, I'm confident I passed both the practical and written test. Though to be honest, I think I did better on the interview than those two. I see. Well, no matter what, we know you'll get into UA. Hinata smiles sweetly. Yes, you got this, brother. Himawari agrees with a hand up high. Thanks. Boruto smiles to them. With Izuku. After getting back and cleaning off, Izuku sighs while sitting on the couch in his bathrobe while doing arm curls with a weight. The results should arrive today or tomorrow, right? Inko asks, staking up books on shelf. Yeah. Izuku murmurs. Geez, I think it's amazing that you even applied to UA. Inko says, sweat drops awkwardly in cheering him up. Yeah. Izuku murmurs, still a bit depressed at his results. After a while of that, Inko runs hurriedly back to the living room, grabbing his attention, eyes Izuku. He stutters dramatically, holding a mail letter from UA. It's here. Izuku only gazes at the note, knowing full well what his results were. With Boruto, While chilling out in his room and playing a game on his Switch, a knock on his door is heard. Boruto. Hinata calls. Question mark. He gets up and opens it to meet her. This just came in the mail. It's from UA. She show it, holding it up. It's my results. Boruto notices it got here earlier than expected. He takes it from here and says, I'll tell you and Hima my results once I come out. Think of it as a surprise. He grins sheepishly. Sure. Hinata giggles a little and leaves him to it. After closing the door and sighting near his computer, here goes. Boruto rips the letter, and out comes a small disk chip that then immediately projects a hologram. Hello, Boruto. Naruto appears in the projection. D-Dad. Boruto exclaims, surprised. Also surprised to see him wearing an orange suit with a bow tie. You're probably noticing that I'm wearing something different than usual. He laughs awkwardly, but reveals, and that's because I'm now a faculty member of UA. Seriously? Boruto widens eyes in surprise. Dad being a teacher? But with that aside, the main reason I'm on screen is to also say congratulations on passing the recommendations exam. You're one of the 5 recommended students who succeeded. I was watching and you did really great. I'm proud of you, son. Naruto nods / grins on screen. This starting semester, you're now officially a UA high school student. He adds with a grin with a fist raised. Go beyond. Plus ultra. Believe it, you know. After that finishing flash statement, the projection closes. Boruto gazes, then turns his lips into a wide smile, really happy, and laughs a little before quietly exclaiming, yes, with small tears of joy too. With Izuku, the freckled teen sits in his room in front of the computer, gazing at the note before straightening himself and tore the note open, out coming a small disk chip that then immediately projects a hologram well. Booyah! I am here as a projection. All Might exclaimed with his signature smile as he appears in the screen. Hey, All Might. No way, this is from UA. Izuku exclaimed surprised. I couldn't contact you due to having some paperwork that needed to be done. All Might said and adds, I actually came to this town to work as a faculty member at UA. All Might's working at UA. Izuku gasps. After a record tells hi to wrap it up on screen. All Might clears his throat and continues. You may have passed the written exam, but you got 0 on the practical. So that means you didn't pass. I knew it. It was obvious. Izuku lowers his head, shaking his shoulders in frustration. If that was all there was to it. All Might then has a remote in hand. First, take a look at this video. He aims it at the screen next to him before it turns on. The video shows Achiko, who Izuku recognizes, going to present Mike after the test was over. She asked if Izuku could have some of her points after hearing him say he wanted at least 1 point. Not to mention, he used the rest of that time to save her from the 0-pointer. All Might pauses the video and says, your actions inspired others now that you have a quirk. He adds, as the video shows present Mike assuring Achiko not to worry, because there were also rescue points after saving someone. The judges were also looking for that from the examinees. The rankings show that Izuku has 62 points while Achiko has 45, meaning they both passed. Izuku's eyes start have tears forming, uttering, this is too crazy. In the projection, welcome, young Midoriya. He adds, this is your hero, Academia. Izuku whimpers, beyond having gratitude, right? With Boruto. Outside the door, Hinata and Himawari are waiting for Boruto, until he finally comes out, acting like he's depressed with his head hanging. What's wrong, brother? Himawari asks, worried. Boruto. Hinata too. Boruto tricks them as he looks at them both with a wide grin of joy before he tells them the good news. I passed, and got in UA. This surprises the two blue hairs in total joy as they exclaim proudly, why? And hug him. With Izuku, Inko walks around worriedly outside her son's bedroom door, hoping his results turn out to be successful. Izuku then opens the door, gaining her attention quickly. He looks up and smiles widely with eyes closed, a sign saying he got into UA. She is shocked and immediately whimpers tears of joy. My baby, she exclaims, proudly hugging him. After Hinata and Himawari go downstairs to make dinner, Boruto, a buzzing sound in his pocket, Question mark. He reaches to take out his phone, turning it on, and sees a message from Izuku, reading, "I did it. I got into UA." Reading this, Boruto widens his eyes in surprise and amazement that his best friend passed both exams. He messages Izuku, "Great job. Knew you could do it. Now we're both into UA." "Yes. And thank you." Izuku message reply. Separately, both of them thought, "It begins tomorrow, the start of becoming a hero." They smile with the same thoughts as the UA semester is near to its beginning. In the morning, I'm heading out. Boruto to Hinata and Hima while in his school uniform and standing up after putting on his shoes. "Do your best at UA, big brother." Himawari wishes good luck with a cute smile. "This is the start of your path to being a hero, so best of luck, Boruto." Hinata adds with her smile. "Right, thanks you too." He nods / smiles before putting on his book bag. "Okay, I'm off, you know." He opens the door and leaves on his way to UA as they wave him from afar. With Izuku, just as he ties his shoes, Inko worriedly asks him a series of questions quickly. "Do you have tissue?" "A handkerchief." "I have it. I'm going to be late." Izuku replies before getting up quickly to the door. "Izuku." Inko calls him again, making him turn around to her. "What?" Izuku asks until he sees her with a teary-eyed smile. She compliments in a proud tone, "You're really cool." Izuku smiles awkwardly but accepts it and replies, "I'm off." He waves before heading out the door. Opening 1. The Day by Porno Graffiti. Izuku's eyes are shining wide as stars flow around him, glimpsing ahead at All Might, whose back is turned with fists on hips. Izuku extends his hand out to the grinning All Might, who starts turning his head toward the teen. As his cloak flows in the wind, Fox Naruto smiles with his back turned before Boruto jumps out and towards the screen with a grin and punches at it. The students of Class 1A are now shown in their hero costumes. Achiko, Samaire, Tenya, Sarada, Shikadai, Katsuki, Mitsuki, Azui, Ijiro, Iowabe, Metal, Minoru, Momo, Chocho, Kaminari, Kamiko, Inogen, Kyoka, Hanta, Fumikage, Yuga, Mishiro, Mina, Rikido, Mizo, Koji, Toru, and Shoto. In the night, Izuku looks up at the raining sky before looking down in a low expression and walks on. Next, it shows Boruto running on the sidewalk while it rains, but pauses and looks down before looking back up at the night sky again. With their backs turned, Izuku and Katsuki then have serious looks before turning to each other and clashing fists in their hero costumes. Next shows Tamura Shigaraki menacingly reaching his hand at the screen. Next shows All Might fighting against a Nomu as they both of them trade fist blows back to back. Hirojiri, with a flash of his yellow eyes, and Shin Uchiha, with an evil gummed grin, are both shown in a bar, with the latter having evil red eyes. Next, Eraserhead uses his Eraser Eyes quirk and straps to take down some Nomu. Kakashi uses Lightning Blade to rip some to shreds, and Konohamaru uses Flame Bombs to blast several as well. Izuku and Boruto dash and jump into the air in their school uniforms before a few Class 1A students also join in through the sky while in their hero costumes. Achiko puts her fingers together, Shikadai puts his hand signs together, Sarada activates her red Tomo eyes, Lita does a swift kick, Mitsuki extends his long arms out, Minoru cries dramatically, Azui catches Minoru with her frog tongue, Chocho expands her giant hand, Metal does a round kick, Inogen flies on his paint-made bird, Shoto surfs on ice, Iowabe smashes down his earth hammer, Ijiro hardens his whole body, and Katsuki doing a small explosion while raring to go. Izuku and Boruto morph into their hero costumes before charging a forward punch at the same time before showing the rest of the class also do their own small attacks. It ends with All Might, Naruto, Fire Fox, and the rest of Class 1A in front of the UA school building. UA High School. Along the way, Boruto, Izuku, and Shikadai meet up. You getting in through recommendations is so awesome, Boruto. Izuku beams. Hey, thanks. It actually wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. He replies, in all honesty. Is that so? What was the practical like anyway? Shikadai asks, hands in pockets. It was a 3-kilometer distance race through an obstacle course. Boruto answers, which surprises Shikadai and Izuku. Seriously? Our whole practical exam was harder. The latter replies, and that was destroying robots. Wow, you guys really did have it rough. The blonde said, and you had it real easy. Shikadai sighs. Next topic. Ready for the first step in our hero careers, guys? Boruto asks, pumped up and ready. Why, yes. Izuku stutters, straightening up. Ready as I'll ever be. Shikadai scratches his head in an almost unmotivated manner. Have some motivation, Shikadai, Boruto said, with a relaxed smirk as he takes the lead step of the trio in front of the large school building. This first day should be a walk in the park. After that, they walk inside through the halls and comment how huge the place is on the inside before stopping at their destination in front of a large door labeled Class 1A on it. Wow, now this is huge. Boruto notes out. It makes you feel like there's only a class of the elites past that door. Shikadai said, like Kakin and that guy with the glasses, for example. Izuku said, shaking at the thought. Those two? You just had to bring them up, didn't ya? Boruto narrows a brow. I couldn't help it. Izuku replies meekly. Relax, those guys are probably in a different class, for all we know. Shikadai said, yeah, I mean there's so many other class sections, and their chances of being in the same with us are almost zero. Boruto assures before pushing the door opening, but as they walked in, their guess was totally wrong. Take your feet off that desk right now. Tenya demands of Katsuki, who gave off a smug grin before stating that he'll crush him since he's some elite from another school after Tenya stated so. Well, we spoke too soon. Shikadai sighs with his head leaning on his hand, as him and Boruto were wrong completely. Welp, I didn't think we'd be that wrong off the mark. Boruto sighs and shrugs to Izuku. Looks like we're stuck with him from now on, as much as I hate to admit it. He adds, making Izuku sigh as well. Good morning. Tenya walks over to the trio. I'm Tenya Dash. We know. Boruto interrupts and having heard his full name already. I'm Boruto Uzumaki. Shikadai Nara. He introduces next. I'm Izuku Midoriya. Nice to meet you, Lita. He said. Lita pauses, looking down for a second before saying, Midoriya, you realize there was way more to the practical exam, right? I had no idea, and I misjudged you. As much as I hate to admit it, you're better than me. He states in a dramatic way. I didn't realize anything. Izuku sweat drops in a murmur. Well, I guess that's one way to apologize. Boruto sweat drops too. Hey, Samaire greets from behind the doorway to Boruto. He turns around in surprise to see she's her too, but quickly smiles. Oh, hey, Samaire. He greets too. What do you know, the same class? Uh-huh. Samaire nods and smiles. Let's do our best. Yeah. Boruto thumbs up. Hey, I recognize that messed up hair. It's Falling Boy. Achiko greets near the doorway, complimenting Izuku, catching the group's attention. Izuku broke out into an embarrassed blush, thanking her for what she had done when she offered to give him some of her points from the practical exam. You're not good at hiding that look. Boruto sighs with a shrug at Izuku's blush-covered expression at Achiko. What do you know? We're even in the same class. Sarada says to Boruto, coming by the doorway too, which gets their attention. Sarada. Boruto's surprised she's part of this class too. You know each other? Achiko asks. Yeah, we do to some extent, plus our dads are friends. Boruto said, let's hope you resist the urge to be reckless here. She heads to her seat next. I am not reckless. Boruto replies dramatically, which makes Izuku, Samaire, and Achiko giggle. Meanwhile, Katsuki glared over at them with an angered glare. Boruto getting into UA was expected since he obviously got recommended, but Izuku? Something was up with him. You know it's rude to be staring profanely at them. Sarada pauses at where Katsuki is. Huh? He turns his glare at her. Sarada glares a little too with hands on hips, but sighs as she can already see Katsuki won't be reasoned with, and continues heading to her seat. Katsuki is further annoyed that she didn't answer. He swears in thought. Along with the other two, I'll destroy her too. Boruto sees that Momo and Shoto are here too, but it's more surprised by the latter, who cold declined in Ace's friendship, Speaking of the upbeat whirlwind Quirk user, I'm curious as to what Inasa is up to. He thought, recalling his downness at Shoto, refusing his greeting. I wonder if today is just the entrance ceremony and orientation. Achiko asks in wonder. Well, I have no clue. Samaya replies with a finger on her cheek. I also wonder who our teacher is. What do you think, Boruto? Beats me, he replies with a shrug. Well, until we find out. Mitsuki approaches near the doorway. Let's use this chance to get to know one another, he insisted, with a closed-eye smile. You're here too? Izuku raises a brow in surprise to see him in the same class. A pleasure to see you again, Midoriya. Mitsuki smiles and turns to Boruto. You're Boruto Uzumaki, right? I'm Mitsuki. A pleasure to meet you. He nods, smiling. Sure, you too. Boruto replies with a small grin anyway. If you're just here to make friends, then you can pack up your stuff and go somewhere else. A voice suddenly stated. Everyone perked up to a tired-looking man with shaggy black hair and stubble, lying in a yellow sleeping bag, which weirdly stuns them. As something's on the floor, Boruto, Izuku, Tenya, Samaya, Achiko, and Shikadai thought simultaneously, except Mitsuki, who kept a straight face. It took 8 seconds for you all to quiet down. Time is limited at the moment, and you kids aren't rational enough, he said tiredly after getting out his sleeping bag. This person's a pro hero and our teacher. Izuku thought in question. How does a hero have a worn-out looking expression on him? Bad sleep or something? Boruto raises a brow in thought. I'm your homeroom teacher, Shoto Aizawa. He introduces tiredly. Nice to meet you. He adds, which shocks the class at him being the homeroom teacher they got. He then takes out a blue gym/P.E suit and advises, I know this is sudden, but put this on and go out to the field. Now out in the training field. All 28 students are dressed in their P gym uniforms while outside on the P.E field. Shota explains that they will be having a quirk apprehension test, and unlike what they had in middle school, they'll be used their quirks. Katsuki goes first in the painted ground circle, and a couple stretches, he throws the ball with a wide, dramatically grin. Die. He roars and throws it hard in the air with a blast of his hand. Die. Izuku blinks in confusion. What a terrible catchphrase. Boruto shakes his head with a hand leaned on his forehead. The watch shows that Katsuki got 705.2 meters, which surprises the class. 705.2? Dang. Iwabi's surprisingly impressed. Goes to show he ain't playing around, right? Kaminari's grins impressed too. Now I'm fired up to try that out. Metal yells with fire in his eyes. It looks like fun. Mina says happily. And easy. Chocho adds. On top of that, we can use our quirks as much as we want. Hanada said. From the hero course, that's to be expected. Aijiro adds with a confident grin. Looks fun and easy, huh? Shota questions in an unpleasing way at their reactions, and before stating in a new rule that whoever comes in last place out of the 8 test will be expelled from the class. Huh, the whole class is shocked. We're free to do whatever we want with our student circumferences. Aizawa grins in a sarcastic, evil, and scary way with a hand lifting up his hair. Welcome to UA's hero course. Izuku is shocked by Shota's last statement, and knows he can't control his one for all quirk at a time like this. In the corner behind the building, Naruto, in his orange suit, watches the group and sighs at Aizawa's antics. The moment I read that Boruto had Shota as a teach, I knew this would happen. He sighs and though with a hand leaned against his head, that guy has that no-mercy personality form Kakashi. What will they do in this situation? Last place will be expelled? Achiko asks, still nervous. But it's the first day of school. Even if this wasn't the first day, this just isn't fair to us. Surmise adds in reasoning with Shota. Natural disasters, big incidents, and selfish villains. Japan is unfair in all sorts of places. Shota begins stating the surroundings. Heroes themselves have to reverse the situation around. If you want to talk with your friends at Mickey, too bad, because the next 3 years of UA will be harder than you all think. He smirks with his finger in pose of, bring it on, go beyond, plus ultra. Overcome the odds with all you got. With this declaration and motivation, the students prepare themselves for this serious challenge. Tenya straightens his glasses. Achiko and Samaya readying themselves while a little nervous, Sarada full-on ready with her fists tightened, Mitsuki with his usual smile without worries, and Katsuki grinning menacingly and raring to go. Ha! Boruto closed his eyes before opening them with a grin. We can take whatever you throw at us, so bring it on. He speaks for everyone as they all have no choice but to accept the challenge, with Izuku, Achiko, and Samaya a little nervous. Oh yeah? Let's see. Shota grins at Boruto's spunkiness. Ha! Attaboy, way to say for the team, Boruto. Naruto's proud at his son in thought. Test 1, 50-meter dash. The test is underway as only two at a time go up to the starting line to race the other, as Shota records their speed in his stopwatch. When it's Boruto's turn, he's matched with Kaminari as they're both in starting lines. Ready, go. The machine commences. Here goes. Boruto summons a shadow clone, and with a palm of wind, he throws the real Boruto across at fast speed past the finish line, finishing in 3.2, meaning he was almost close to beating or tying with Tenya's score. Kaminari ended up finishing with 4.55. Test 2, grip strength. Amongst the boys, it was close, but Mizo manages to come out on top, with a Wabe close behind in second place. The latter grins a little, but humbled at almost beating Mizo. Amongst the girls, Sarada triumphed over the rest, with Chocho close behind. Meanwhile, Izuku was struggling to even attempt to use his power. Every time he tried, he's always imagined himself breaking, which stops him every time from attempting it. Test 5. After getting past the long jump, 3, and sidesteps, 4, it now comes down to the ball. After Achiko scored infinity, Boruto stepped next and gathers wind under the ball and uses Gale Palm to throw it far in the air, earning 705.2. Everyone's surprised that Boruto got the same score as Katsuki, who scoffs angrily at their scores being tied. Yes, using Gale Palm sealed the deal in amplifying his grip throw on the ball. Great work, Boruto. Naruto thought, proud. Izuku is nervously the last one. Thoughts of what he should genius running through his mind. He had to use his quirk. This is the only test he must pass, and it's now or never. It's not looking good for that guy right now. Iwabi murmurs to Boruto, Tenya, Katsuki, Achiko, Samaya, and Yuga with his arms crossed. This is the only test he's got on the line, and if he fails this, it's over. Huh? Of course he's gonna fail. Katsuki grumbles to Iwabi. He's a quirkless small fry after all. Quirkless. Iwabi narrows a brow in confusion. That's false. Aren't you aware of what he did during the entrance exam? Tenya asks the explosion user. Boruto only silently watches as Shota is talking with Izuku, with straps wrapped around him. Only he knows what his quirk is and its consequences. He thinks that's what Shota must be talking to Izuku about, cause the one for all quirk hurts him when he uses it. In the corner, you're just in time. Naruto turns to the yellow-suited All Might in bulk form and yellow suit, joining him in observing the students. Of all the teachers, it just had to be Aizawa that young Midoriya and Uzumaki wound up stuck with. All Might whispers. No joke. He only does his hero work in the nighttime cause of his dislike of the media. Naruto whispers, also saying it hinders his work. Even I'll admit, he and I don't get along much. All Might sighs. He's definitely rough around the edges in the same way with me. Naruto agrees with him there as they continue watching the ground. Izuku, determined to be a hero, was about to throw the ball with his quirk activated, but it's revealed that Shota Aizawa, known as the pro hero, Eraserhead, erased his quirk. His quirk allowed him to temporarily erase a power while he had his eyes fixed on someone. Shota erased Izuku's because he was going to break his own arm to try and succeed. He told him that he wouldn't be a hero if he would break down after just one attack. So with that, Izuku had to think of another way, as he knew he had a long way to go in gaining control of the all-for-one quirk. So I'll focus on what I can do right now, he declared inwardly, rearing his arm back again with the ball in his hand. This time, he channeled his power into the tip of his index finger and threw as hard as he could. And as he did, he yells out, launching the ball into the air with his fingertip, sending it high into the air as everyone watched in awe. That was a further score by 1 point. Huh, that's what I'm talking about. Boruto thought, grinning at his freckled friend's success. His throw had gone 705.3 meters, a little bit ahead of his and Katsuki's score of 705.2. Mr. Aizawa, Izuku turns to him, grinning a little through the pain. I'm still standing, he declared. This kid, Aizawa utters out, impressed with a grin. Watching from afar behind the corner, All Might and Naruto in amazement from Izuku's progression, seeing that he used one for all on his fingertips to amplify the throw, minimizing the injury while the power is maximized. How did he become so cool? All Might dramatically beams in a whisper. Naruto's sweat drops at his reaction in a grin. Yes, that was very impressive on his part. In fact, everyone did great. He smiles with All Might agreeing. He got over 700 meters? Kaminari exclaims in surprise. The rest of the class are astonished as well. Finally, a hero-like record. Achiko celebrates. Way to go. Samaire cheers. His fingers swollen again like that time when he took down the bot during the entrance. Iwabi notices. What a strange quirk. Tenya adds to that. It doesn't have style. Yuga said. Mitsuki observes as well, thinking that's the cause. Katsuki is the most shocked in disbelief. Normally by age 4, everyone's quirks would awaken. This really makes the explosion user as furious and dashes straight at Izuku with hands bombing. Deka, you bastard. You're gonna tell me what the hell's going on. He roars. Izuku shrieks at the incoming Katsuki, bracing himself for explosions. Quick to act, Boruto tackles him Katsuki to the ground, pinning him in place by his left side. What's gotten into you all of a sudden, Bakugo? Boruto demands an explanation. Whiskers, get the hell off me. Katsuki roars, almost to the point of exploding the ground. Luckily, Shota erases his quirk while also using his carbon bandages to restrain Boruto from forehead to stomach. What's with these bandages? Boruto has a hard time, struggling to move, while looking back that it was Shota's doing. Weapons for capture, and they're made of carbon fiber, while mixed with metal wire made of special alloy. Shota notes, also with glaring red eyes, which startles Izuku a little. Good grief. Stop making me having to use my quirk constantly. I have dry eyes. He calls back the carbon bandages off Boruto while reseating his red eyes to unrestrict Katsuki's quirk. We're wasting time. Oops, our bad. The blonde rubs the back of his head sheepishly before getting off of Katsuki, who stands up grumblingly. All right, whoever's next, get ready. Shota orders up in his usual relaxed way. He's back to that tired expression already? He was serious for the last 7 minutes. Shikadai thought, in a sweat drop. As Achiko and Samaire went over to check on Izuku, Boruto glares daggers at Katsuki and states, You have some serious issues, you know that? Huh, Katsuki sneers, but is ignored as Boruto walks back over to the others. This only makes it worse as Katsuki glares angrily at him, and then at Izuku from afar. He had thought that the freckled teen was nothing more than an insect that he could crush at any time, but seeing him do that with his finger just enraged him even more. Moving on, the last 3 tests, sit UPS, seated toe touch, and a long-distance run, went by quickly before everyone gathered for the results. Shota said that the student who had the lowest score on the test would be immediately expelled. He brought up the list of students as everyone, especially Izuku, were nervous. Opening 1. The Day by Porno Graffiti. Izuku's eyes are shining wide as stars flow around him, glimpsing ahead at All Might, whose back is turned with fists on hips. Izuku extends his hand out to the grinning All Might, who starts turning his head toward the teen. As his cloak flows in the wind, Fox Naruto, smiles with his back turned before Boruto jumps out and towards the screen with a grin and punches at it. The students of Class 1A are now shown in their hero costumes. Achiko, Samaire, Tenya, Sarada, Shikadai, Katsuki, Mitsuki, Azui, Ijiro, Iowabe, Metal Minoru, Momo, Chocho Kaminari, Kamiko, Inajin Kyoka, Hanta Fumikage, Yuga Mishiro, Mina, Rikido, Mizo, Koji, Toru, and Shoto. In the night, Izuku looks up at the raining sky before looking down in a low expression and walks on. Next, it shows Boruto running on the sidewalk while it rains, but pauses and looks down before looking back up at the night sky again. With their backs turned, Izuku and Katsuki then have serious looks before turning to each other and clashing fists in their hero costumes. Next shows Tamura Shigaraki menacingly reaching his hand at the screen. Next shows All Might fighting against the Nomu as both of them trade fist blows back to back. Kurojirai, with a flash of his yellow eyes, and Shin Uchiha, with an evil gum grin, are both shown in a bar, with the latter having evil red eyes. Next, Eraserhead uses his Eraser Eyes quirk and straps to take down some Nomu. Kakashi uses Lightning Blade to rip some to shreds, and Konohamaru uses Flame Bombs to blast several as well. Izuku and Boruto dash and jump into the air in their school uniforms before a few Class 1A students also join in through the sky while in their hero costumes. Achiko puts her fingers together, Shikadai puts his hand signs together, Sarada activates her red Tomo eyes, Lita does a swift kick, Mitsuki extends his long arms out, Minoru cries dramatically, Azui catches Minoru with her frog tongue, Chocho expands her giant hand, Metal does a round kick, Inogen flies on his paint-made bird, Shoto surfs on ice, Iowabe smashes down his earth hammer, Ijiro hardens his whole body, and Katsuki doing a small explosion while raring to go. Izuku and Boruto morph into their hero costumes before charging a forward punch at the same time before showing the rest of the class also do their own small attacks. It ends with All Might, Naruto, Firefox, and the rest of Class 1A in front of the UA school building. Test rankings. 1. Sarada Uchiha. 2. Momo Yaoyorozu. 3. Shoto Todoroki. 4. Boruto Uzumaki. 5. Katsuki Bakugo. 6. Tenya Lita. 7. Mitsuki. 8. Fumikage Tokoyami. 9. Shikadai Nara. 10. Mizo Shoji. 11. Iwabe Ueno. 12. Mashireo Ojiro. 13. Metal Lee. 14. Ijiro Kirishima. 15. Chocho Akimichi. 16. Mina Ishido. 17. Samaire Keikei. 18. Achiko Uraraka. 19. Koji Koda. 20. Rikido Sato. 21. Tsuyu Azui. 22. Inogen Yamanaka. 23. Yuga Aoyama. 24. Hanada Siro. 25. Denki Kaminari. 26. Kyokujiro. 27. Toru Hagakure. 28. Minoru Mineta. 29. Denki Kamiko. 30. Izuku Midoriya. Seeing that he's really in last place, Izuku hangs his head over in a little frustration of shock, knowing he'll be expelled, so it's expulsion. Izuku. Boruto glances to his freckled friend, feeling very sorry for him that he's in last place and knowing it means expulsion. However, by the way, I was lying about the expulsion. Shota notes out in reveal. The class is very speechless with wide, drastic eyes that they've been tricked about the whole expulsion ordeal. Shota grins and adds more to that. It was a deception to draw out the upper limits of your quirks. What? Izuku, Boruto, Achiko, and Samaire exclaimed dramatically at not seeing through the lie. Here I thought the lie was obvious. Sarada said, sighing at their reaction, having not been deceived by it, right? Especially if you thought it through. Momo agrees in a sweat drop, having saw through it too. I didn't know. Kyoka, Minoru, and Denki admit in thought. He totally had us fooled. Can't believe it. Iwabe is dramatically ashamed of himself. It sure was nerve-wracking, wasn't it? Hanada adds, either way, I'll take the challenge anytime. Ijiro said with pumped energy. You said it. Metal agrees, fist pumped. With that said, we're done. Shota dismissed them. The curriculums are waiting in the classroom, so look over them when you get back. Izuku sighs in relief that he managed to not get removed out the class, and Boruto puts a hand on his shoulder, smiling. Good job. You persevered through the test without giving up. He whispers. Thanks, Boruto. Izuku whispers back with a nod. Midoriya. Shota gets his attention and hands him a slip of paper. Have recovery girl to fix you up in the nurse's office, ASAP. because tomorrow will be more rigorous than it was today. So prepare yourself. He adds and walks away. In the corner, seeing Shota walks by Naruto and All Might, with the latter stating, "Aizawa, you liar." Shota stops and turns to them. All Might, Firefox. "So you two were watching? Too much time on your hands, I'm guessing." "Oh, don't give us that too much time stuff," Naruto said, arms crossed. "A deception. April Fool's has been over since last week, you know. You punished a whole group of the last first years with expulsion." All Might notes out, "You wave aside those you don't see much potential in without hesitation. You got that method from Kakashi, as you share a lot in common." "That's what I thought too, but today was surprisingly different in your case, Aizawa." Naruto notes out in a notice. "How so?" Shota asks. "Right. You also saw potential in young Midoriya, didn't you?" All Might's quick notice with a point. "Also, you seem to be providing him with support." Shota smirks. "Is that how a teacher should be acting?" Then again, Guy was the same about Lee during our school days. Yeah, he's not wrong about that. Naruto chuckles, which All Might's a little embarrassed. "As for your son," Shota mentions Boruto to him. "He's kind of like you at that age with all the spunk and potential he's got in him." Heh. Naruto rubs his head sheepishly. "That's Boruto for ya." As Shota begins walking along, he states, "As for Izuku, he potential isn't zero. That's all it was." He then adds, "I'll remove those who don't have it in them. There's nothing cooler than cutting dreams midway." Man, he sure is kind in his own way, huh? All Might notes, "Yeah, sorta. He still hasn't changed all that much." Naruto sighs, which All Might agrees with him there. Meanwhile, in the nurse office, Kiss. Recovery girl smooches Izuku's finger, healing it in the proceed. "It's healed," Izuku notes, but suddenly feels drowsy in his eyes. "And now I'm tired from all that. My quirk stimulates a person's healing ability." Recovery girl explains and adds, "Sakura's healing abilities are similar, but doesn't have the same after effects. Leaving out my brute strength as part of it, are we?" Sakura narrows a brow with a smirk as she walks in with some pills, mentioning that wouldn't be necessary. Recovery girl notes a little sigh. Sakura lets it slide without a problem, with a teased smirk before handing Izuku some healing gummies. "Be extra careful to not get major injuries because healing requires a lot of stamina," she advises with a smile. "It could lead to fatal injuries." "Fatal?" Izuku exclaims dramatically, a perked-up shake. "Don't worry, as long as you control your powers, you'll be fine," Sakura assures. "Take it easy." Izuku nods and heads out the nurse office. As the first day of school is now over, with the freckled and whiskered teens are walking out the building back in their uniforms. "How's the fingers?" Boruto asks. "It's better now, thanks to Recovery Girl and Med Women," Izuku replied before asking, "Did you also know that Med Women works in the nurse office?" "Nope, not at all," he replies in all honesty with a straight face. "What about Shikadai? Where's he?" Izuku asks. "Still in the classroom. Don't know what he's doing, but he'll catch up." Boruto shrugs, not bothered that he's late. "Midoriya, Uzumaki," Tenya yells out, coming over to them as they turn around to him. He also asks Izuku about his fingers, which he replies it's fine. "Hey," Achiko and Samaire come running up brightly as well, joining them. "Oh, you're the Infinity Girl and the girl that shoots water." Tenya identifies. "I'm Achiko Uraraka." She introduces happily. "And I'm Samaire Keikiai." She introduces in the same manner, but quietly, and adds, I know Boruto and Deku." "And your Tenyalita?" "Deku." Izuku perks up at that. "Isn't that what that guy Bakugo called you?" Achiko asks. "He only calls him that just to insult him." Boruto replies, rolling his eyes in that name as an insult. "An insult?" Tenya thinks with a finger to his chin. "Why, yeah, Izuku's my real name." He sets in correction. "Oh, my bad." Samaire rubs her head sheepishly. "But you know, Deku sounds like a Japanese name as in, you can do it." Achiko next states with encouragement, "I like the name, and I think it's cute." "DKU it is," he exclaims with a blush immediately. "That was quick," Boruto exclaims in a little surprise. "Just like that?" Tenya asked aloud. "Weren't you saying that it was an insult?" "I think that's a great name, too." Samire admits, gaining his attention. Yeah, and to tell the truth, it's barely an insult. Boruto adds to that. Take that as your hero name with pride and Bakugo's statement, and that will be irrelevant moving forward. Hearing all these compliments, Izuku blushes a little and said in gratitude, "Thanks, guys." With that said, the boys walk off from school, along with their 3 new friends. Next day, with Class 1A already seated, "Greetings, everybody." Naruto waves after walking in his hero costume. "Dad!" Boruto exclaims/whispers, surprised to see he's teaching them this time. "Firefox, he's teaching us." Zero exclaims in amazement. So does some others as they compliment his amazing costume cape, his title of being equal to All Might. Haha. All right then, guys, let's get down to business. Naruto begins. This will be interesting to most, if not everyone. So our main topic for today, chakra-type quirks. He tells the class, a show of hands. Who wants to explain what they are? He asks, which Izuku raises his, yes, you Midoriya? Chakra-type quirks were harnessed and spread by the Six Paths hero known as Hagoromo. He explained in reply, chakra also subjects in many other elements, like earth, wind, fire, and water. So those with chakra-type ether have more than one element. Correct you are. Naruto nods. Anybody else want to state theirs? Sarada raises her hand next and adds, the villain, known as Kagaya, was the founder of chakra quirks and had a source of power called the chakra fruit, which was lost for eternity from what I heard. You're also on the spot, Sarada. Naruto compliments. Chakra be determined by a small portion of blue spiral-like energy or by hand signs, which a very few heroes do. I know some of you in here have chakra type, like Boruto example. He eyes his sons with a plague grin, which Boruto sighs in a happy way with a hand to his forehead. Katsuki scoffs, looking like he doesn't care. Here's an example. Naruto does a simple hand sign, and another clone of himself appears in smoke, which the class gasps in surprise as Boruto uses the same thing. Show off. Boruto notes in thought, but knows this is just a less. After the next 10 minutes, Naruto wraps up with this. That's it for today. And also, he wishes with a thumbs up and grins. Good luck on in hero training session. So astounding. The student's notes in thought at his cool in-character. I am here. All Might dashes in dramatic entrance with his hero cape costume. Like a normal person through the door. All Might. Izuku exclaims in delight. Nice entrance. Boruto's sweat drops. Now All Might is teaching us. Ijiro exclaims in amazement. So does several as they compliment his design, giving them goosebumps. For this class, we'll be building up on your hero training through various trails. All Might gets to the instructions with a pose, adding they'll get a lot of credit out of it. Let's just right into the trial of battle. The trial. Izuku trails in surprise. Of battle. Boruto finishes that statement in surprise too, while Katsuki grins in delight at this stage. This is already the stage of intensity. Shikadai said. All Might states out that, along with your first competition, we've prepared the requested gears that suits your quirks. Our own battle gears. Awabe is pumped up. Awesome. Ijiro's pumped as well, both energized, so is the whole class. We'll be ready to go once you've all changed. Meet at Ground B. All Might instructs. The designs you bring in will be important, boys and girls. He finishes with this awesome statement. Don't forget, from here on, you're all officially heroes. With that sentence stated, the Class 1A students are suited up in their hero costumes and are ready for the battle trial that awaits them all having determined and fired up looks as it now begins. And there you go. That marks the end of this part of the story. Did you guys enjoy it? If you did, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this one. Next part coming soon.